And I'm Megan.
Welcome to the Grimdark Diaries.
We're your geek gal pals obsessed with true crime and all things dark and disturbing.
Welcome, everybody. We are back again for another week of true crime. Megan, how's your week been? You having a good one?
I'm absolutely not having a good one, Nikki. Thank you for asking. It has been the week from hell. I have a poor little kitty who is ill. My cat, Leia, has had some health issues, and I spent all of Tuesday at the vet's. Well, actually not because of COVID. I couldn't take her to the vet immediately, so they got me to go down there to get a take-home kit, and I brought it home, and I did the kit, and then I had to take the sample to the vet, so I had to drive back to the vet, give them the sample. They told me to go home because it'd be an hour or two before they could look at it. I came back home, and then I waited for them to call me. It was about 2 hours later, and then they said, this isn't going to work. We need you to come grab this drug that's going to sedate your girl, and then you need to give it to her 2 hours before you come back, and you need to bring her with you. So I went back and forth to the vet's office. I think it worked out to be about 5 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and the vet is 20 minutes from here.
Oh my.
So
literally your whole day was just back and forth.
I actually messaged my boss on Tuesday morning and I said, I'm really sorry, I might have to take the morning off because I have to go to the vet and I need to figure this out, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no problem. And then it was like around lunchtime, I came home and I was like crying. I was so upset because one, I'm really worried about Leia. And two, I had a really important meeting at 1:00 and I wasn't going to make it because that's when the vet had said, like, you need to bring her in and she needs to come in around 2 or 2:10. And that means I was going to miss the meeting because I had to give Leia a pill, which was going to sedate her and then be with her, obviously, and then bring her to the vet for 2. So I was going to miss the meeting. So I called my boss crying like a loser because I was so upset about everything. And she obviously was extremely understandable. And she was like, don't even worry about it. Take care of your girl. We will take care of the meeting. Don't even worry about it. So I am so super grateful for my boss. She is wonderful. But that day was a day from hell for sure. And my poor cat has been sick all weekend, like from the weekend until now. And now I have to give her injections once a week for 4 weeks. And then because apparently she's a senior, which I didn't really realize my cat was a senior cat, she's going to have to go on a maintenance program where she is on this injection that she has to get once a month after the 4 weeks is up. Because whatever the issue she has in her system, apparently she's more susceptible to it as she gets older.
Well, that sounds awful.
Super fun!
Wow, that's a great week.
Yep, that's why I'm having a glass of wine.
I can't drink wine, I have to read, and if I drink, I can't read as well.
That's totally fair. I don't have that issue.
Well, good for you, Megan.
Thank you.
Enjoy your wine and I will enjoy my water.
Thank you. You can have wine next week.
I will. I'm going to. It's your turn and I'm drinking vodka sodas.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
That's my hot jam.
Yeah.
I was looking up, so my theme, if everyone remembers, is I'm a survivor. And I looked up so many survivor cases that I feel like if I get into like a true crime situation, I've already felt prepared because I've listened to so many true crime podcasts. I literally binge true crime podcasts all day, every day. Mm-hmm. But now I've read these survivor tales and I'm like, okay, now I know how to survive.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
I've learned so much.
This is really good for you then.
Yeah, I'm going to share it with everybody.
Okay,
we're going to learn very valuable lessons in life.
Excellent. I'm very excited.
So today we're talking about Kara Robinson.
Okay.
She grew up in Lexington, South Carolina. This was supposed to be a very safe town. It seemed to be one of those towns where kids had no issues playing outside or going for walks alone or with friends in the woods because everyone just felt safe there. I feel like that's such a nice small town mentality that, you don't have to worry about anything.
Exactly.
Kara always felt like she had the freedom to roam the town because in a safe town, you have that mentality of what could go wrong. Especially I feel like as a kid, you always feel like ain't nothing going wrong. You're
100%.
Invincible.
That's right, yeah.
On the morning of June 22nd, 2002, Kara was at her best friend Heather's house. Heather's mom wasn't home, so it was just the teenage girls. Since it was a beautiful day, they decided they'd go to a local lake. Before getting ready, they called Heather's mom to let her know they were going and ask if there was anything they needed to do around the house before they could go out and enjoy their day. Heather's mom asked them to water the flowers outside, and then they were good to go. Heather still needed to shower, so Kara offered to go outside and water the flowers for her. She hadn't even changed out of her PJs yet, but she thought it would be a quick chore, so she popped outside in a t-shirt and shorts to water the flowers. As she was out there, she noticed a car drive by the house going away from the neighborhood. She then noticed the car quickly turned around and came back into the neighborhood, eventually pulling into the driveway and parking. A guy got out of the car. She described him as your average guy who looked nice enough. He was wearing a button-down shirt tucked in and a baseball cap. He walked over to Kara and told her that he has some magazines, and he saw her outside, so he wanted to stop and give them to her. He then asked if her mom or dad is home. Kara told him this wasn't her house, her friend Heather lived here. So he said, okay, well, what about her mom? Is her mom home? Kara told him, no, she's not home right now. So the man says he'll just leave the magazines with Kara and then she can pass them along. Kara agrees and says she'll make sure she sets them inside the house. The man moved in closer to hand Kara the magazines. This is when she got a very strange, uncomfortable feeling.
Uh-oh.
I feel like we all know that feeling.
Yes.
When something just feels off.
Really wrong. Yeah.
And even if like nothing really happened, like you just feel like
yes,
something is not.
The tinglies.
Yeah, you feel it in your jellies.
That's right.
Kara really felt like he was coming into her personal space and immediately felt awkward with the interaction. But he did have some brochures in his hand, so it seemed innocent enough. He comes in close to Kara and goes to hand her brochures with his left hand. When she reaches for them, he pulls a gun out with his right hand and places it to the side of her neck. He directs her to get into his car. She felt like she was at such a disadvantage in the situation, so she did what he said.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
Yikes.
So unprepared.
That's so sudden and abrupt, like you wouldn't ever expect that.
No.
Bad feeling or not, you don't expect somebody to do that. Oh my god.
No, even if you got like this guy's creepy.
Right.
He might hit on me or...
Exactly, but you don't ever think he's going to pull out a gun to your neck and tell you to get in the car. Oh my god.
All Kara could think was to pray to God that she'd be able to find a way out of this. The man led Kara to the back seat of his car where there was a Rubbermaid tote bin. He forced her to get inside and he laid the lid on top without fully closing it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hello, claustrophobic.
Oh, no thank you.
No.
Oh my god.
And it's the afternoon, like early afternoon, late
Yeah.
morning, broad daylight in a neighborhood.
Wow.
And I feel like to get into a Rubbermaid bin, it takes a little finagling.
Right? That's not like you just hop in and you're good to go. That's, yeah, definitely.
But just worse luck ever. There's nobody around to see this in broad daylight.
Yikes. That's scary and really sad at the same time that nobody saw that happen in the middle of the day.
Once Kara was in the tote bin, the man said nothing and just got in the car and silently started driving away. Kara is crammed in the fetal position in this bin in total darkness. So, a literal nightmare scenario. Yet, she still manages to keep her wits about her. She immediately takes note of everything. Every stop, every turn the car makes, any sounds she can hear, anything that might give her clues to exactly where he was taking her.
Oh my god, good for her.
Right?
Wow.
I would just be panicking.
I would too, I feel like. That's not something you would normally think of in a situation like that.
No.
I would be thinking, oh my god, what is he going to do with me when we stop?
Absolutely. I would just be having a full-blown anxiety attack.
Exactly.
Yeah. She was really familiar with this area, so she could tell when he got on the interstate. The drive was about 15 minutes before he stopped. She could feel the car pulling over. The man got out and came around to open the Rubbermaid bin. When he opened it, she could see trees, like he was pulled over on the side of the road somewhere, but she couldn't tell where. He then spoke to her, and he said in a very calm voice, "I'm going to tie you up, and I'm going to gag you." He also reminded Kara that he still had the gun, so she shouldn't resist. Kara went along with what he said. She was terrified what he might do if she put up a fight. She wanted him to believe she was going to comply, hoping he would maybe let his guard down. He restrained her wrists and ankles, gagged her, and then closed the lid fully on the Rubbermaid bin. He got back in and drove for a few minutes before stopping again. He then said to her he was going to take her out of the car and she better not scream. When he opened his door to get out, she could actually hear noises of people moving around outside. She thought maybe they were at a gas station, and she even thought that maybe he might want to rob it or something. But then the back door opens and she feels him lift the bin out of the car and start carrying her a short distance. She then felt him place it on the ground and start dragging it. She could feel that underneath her it was definitely pavement that he was dragging her over, so she was in some kind of a parking lot, and she made note of that.
Wow. How old was she again?
15.
That's incredible that she would make note of these things.
Right.
I'm impressed.
You're going to be even more impressed with Kara.
I'm very impressed already. I can't imagine.
But then she felt the texture under her change. She was being dragged over a door threshold. Then the sound changed. No more outside noise or moving people. Then a door shut. Then silence. After a few very uncertain minutes, he opens the lid to the bin. He tells her he's going to take the gag out and take the restraints off, but again reminds her that he's the one with the gun, so she can't scream and she better not try to escape. I can't even imagine how terrifying.
No.
So now she's in his home, doors locked, shut.
No, I would feel so unsafe. Like, I can't even describe how... I can't describe how she must have been feeling.
No, there's no way.
I can't even imagine. Obviously, I've never been in that position before, but to feel so out of your control, and to feel so unsafe like that in a place that you know you're not safe, I just can't even imagine being in that position and feeling that way.
No, especially at 15.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Even though most people would probably be in full panic, like me, she immediately began gathering as much information as she could so she could not only figure out where she was, but also who he was.
Nice.
She had already memorized the serial number on the inside of the Rubbermaid bin in hopes that the purchase could be tracked.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Homegirl is amazing.
How in the world did she memorize that?
I don't know. I don't even know my own husband's phone number. And he tests me on it sometimes, and he's like, "What's my phone number?"
Really?
Yeah, I know the area code.
I mean, I feel like that's obvious.
I know the first 3 numbers.
Okay.
Because they're the same. And then I know the next 4 numbers, but I can never remember what order they go in.
Wow, Nikki.
Yeah, but this girl memorized, I don't know how long a serial number is.
She must have, well, a serial number can be anywhere from anywhere from really 10 to 20 numbers.
Yeah.
So any combination of those and sometimes serial numbers have letters in them as well, so not always just numbers.
And she was only in the car for 15 minutes.
I can't imagine memorizing something
and also in this situation.
And also recognizing the directions that you were going and how many stops you made. Like, how do you focus on so many different things at the same time and remember that?
She's very impressive.
Good for her. Oh my gosh.
Now that she was inside the apartment, she started looking at mail he had left out and magnets on his fridge. Very quickly, she knew who his doctor was, who his dentist was. Kara was able to take in so much information in such a stressful situation. Kara later says she was able to do this and gather this information because she knew she was going to escape, and she wanted to learn as much about him as she could to make sure he gets caught for what he did to her.
Nice.
She tries to act calm toward him and even engages him in conversation. She saw he had lizards and fish, so she was asking him about those. She got him on the topic of how he was in the military, and he was telling her all about being discharged from the Navy.
Wow.
Kara said, as crazy as it sounds, when speaking to her, he was actually really polite and cordial. I feel like that's more unnerving.
That is a little unnerving, to be honest.
Honestly, I feel like...
that means he's totally fine with what he's done.
Yeah. If he was being crazy, I'd be like, oh, this is a crazy man. But
then
I'm
that
like...
would be explainable.
He's being friendly and polite and engaging me in conversation.
He's completely aware of what he has done, and he is okay with it, and you need to be aware of what comes next.
He grabbed a pencil and paper and started asking Kara questions and writing down her answers. He asked her name and whose house she was at when he found her, if she had any previous sexual experience, if she had a boyfriend. So here they are, the sick abductor and the abductee, both conducting their own interview of sorts, both gathering information, but clearly for very different purposes.
Right.
Even though he was calm and polite with Kara, she knew all along that this kidnapper had sinister intentions. She said she knew right from the first of this ordeal that she would be assaulted. So she'd been trying to mentally prepare herself the entire time for what was to come. So trigger warning for sexual assault. After they did their fact-finding interviews, the man placed a knife and a gun near him and spent the next several hours raping Kara.
Oh my gosh.
At one point in the day, the man seemed to now want to mentally torture Kara. He said they were going to watch the news and see if she's on the news as a missing person. He told her, "We'll see if anyone actually misses you."
No.
At that point, she'd only been missing about 8 hours, so there was no news coverage.
No.
I mean, it doesn't mean that she wasn't reported. It's just not on the news.
Exactly. And she's probably smart enough to know that if she's smart enough to have figured out all the other stuff that she's figured out at this point.
So then he just kept telling her that nobody misses her. He kept telling her he would eventually let her go, but then it's up to her what she wants to do. She could go to the police, but she's just always going to be known as the girl in town who was raped.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a shitty person.
Oh, he's awful.
Oh, that gives me the creeps just thinking about it.
As strong as Kara was, all of this mental torture did start to get to her. She did start to kind of believe him that if she went to authorities, there would be a stigma attached to her for the rest of her life. From then on, she would just be the girl in this small, safe town that was kidnapped and raped. Kara really did try to stay strong, but the whole ordeal was wearing on her. Then the man decided to stuff her back into the Rubbermaid bin, telling her she has to be good, and if she does, he won't restrain her and gag her this time. As if he's, like, doing her some kind of favor.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, I won't tie you up this time.
Oh, thanks for your blessing, good sir.
And that's how Megan feels about that.
Exactly.
He told her he needed to make a phone call, so he forced her in the bin and shut the lid. She started to lose it and had a panic attack. She began loudly hyperventilating. He came back into the room and asked what the problem was. She said she couldn't breathe in there. So he said he'd leave the lid off the bin as long as she was quiet, and then he went back into the other room to finish his phone call. She could tell from the way he was speaking, he was on the phone with his wife.
What the frig?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
He had a
As
wife?
if it's not more disgusting.
Oh my god. Oh, men like that. People like that in general make me sick.
Yeah.
How can you... Oh my god. I'm sorry. That makes me so sick to my stomach. People who can have like a normal life with a wife or a husband or whatever and go and do this shit behind their backs.
Yeah.
And be this person, this disgusting, horrible, perverted, pedophile, grossness person.
And while he has this girl locked up in here, he's just calling to check in with his wife, see how she is.
Yeah, seeing how she's doing. Again, this is the type of behavior that somebody who is very calm and cool and collected would be one of the scariest type of predators out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yikes.
After the call, he let her out of the bin and told her she was going to be with him for a couple of days, so she'll need to eat something. And then he gave her weed and a Valium.
Oh my god.
Yeah, not exactly a well-balanced meal.
No. Wow. Okay. That's to calm her nerves, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And I feel like that would probably make her more hungry.
Right? The munchies is a thing, apparently.
Once it was into the evening, he told her it was time to go to bed. He handcuffed her and then used a C-clamp to attach the handcuffs to a rope that was at the head of the bed frame. So there was no pictures of this, but from what I could discern from the interviews, the C-clamp was on the part between the handcuffs. Like, you know how handcuffs have a chain in between?
Yeah.
The C-clamp was on that, holding the rope to that, and then the rope was tied to the head of the bed, so her arms were kind of above her.
Right.
I think.
That makes...
From what I'm going to go into some details later, and I believe that is how it was.
Okay.
He also put a restraint on her right leg, which was attached to the bottom of the bed frame. Once Kara was secured in this bed, he told her, "Okay, we're going to sleep now." And he just laid beside her in the same bed and went to sleep.
What?
Yeah.
What the frig? I don't... Ugh. This guy, how does he have a... He doesn't obviously have a conscience, because...
No.
How could you have a conscience and do that?
No, and I can't even imagine, like, being her. This whole scenario is just hellish. The pair eventually both fell asleep. In the very early morning hours, Kara wakes up before the sun is even out to see he's still sleeping. He was snoring, so she knows that this is her chance. If she's going to make it out of here alive, now is the time to make a move. But he's literally lying next to her in the same bed.
Right.
She has no idea how heavy of a sleeper he is.
Right.
I can't even. That would be so nerve-wracking.
It
like
would.
deciding like, am I gonna do this?
Uh-huh.
She knew she had to move quickly, but she also had to be quiet and careful. The first thing she knew she needed to do was free her hands. She tried to reach the C-clasp that was in between her wrists, but it was just out of reach from her fingers. So she couldn't bend her wrist in a way to get to unscrew the C-clamp.
Right.
But luckily, she was able to just reach it with her mouth. So she used her teeth to carefully unscrew it.
Wow.
Yes.
That's smart.
Her hands were still in handcuffs, but no longer tied to the rope on the bed frame.
Perfect.
She then managed to slowly wiggle down to her ankle enough to unattach the restraint from the bed. Once she was free from those, she gently slid out of the bed, very careful not to wake him.
Oh my gosh. I would be so scared.
Reading this, I was like on edge.
Right?
My nerves were shot just reading this.
Yes, exactly. My nerves are shot hearing it.
I can't imagine how nerve-wracking it was
No.
for her, because you want to move quickly, but you also don't want to make any noise
Quietly.
or make a mistake.
Exactly. Yikes.
And I feel like in that situation, you would feel if you got caught, I would be scared anyway. If I got caught in that situation, I'd be scared that I would be punished for it. Like 100%. He might lash out or something, or, you know, in a good mood, he put you in a Rubbermaid bin. What's he going to do if you did the one thing he asked you not to do, which was try and escape?
Exactly. And even murder at that point.
Absolutely.
Right. Who knows how unhinged he actually could get when he gets angry.
Oh, absolutely. So now she's out of the bed and just needs to run the gauntlet of the apartment to make it to the front door. First, she grabbed her clothes and put them on, and then went out into the living room. She crosses the living room and lands herself at the front door. But at the front door, there was a coat closet with one of those accordion-style metal doors, is how she described it. So I'm picturing in my head the kind that are on like old school elevators.
Okay, yeah.
That's right?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, something like that. Or those like cupboards that kind of wrinkle up when you pull them.
That's right, yeah.
But it's made of metal. I couldn't find any pictures of it, so... Okay. Use your imagination. It's the greatest gift of all.
You're doing a wonderful job both describing it and singing it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the entertainment.
Imagination is a wonderful thing, Megan. I believe in imagination.
Imagination station.
I think children these days are having their imagination ruined by technology.
I agree completely with you. Yes.
All their toys do things for them. They light up, they have screens, they talk, they do all the things. So kids are not developing an imagination like we did when we were kids.
Nope.
Because our toys didn't do anything.
Not a thing at all, actually.
No.
They just sat there.
No, we had to make it all up in our head, and we had to play pretend with everything.
That's right.
And I feel like kids don't do that now.
They do not. You're right. They don't. It's really sad, actually. My nephew is, I love him to death, but he is so addicted to video games that when we decide to go out anywhere, he doesn't know how to play pretend. Like, I feel like he struggles with it.
Yeah.
Well,
if you've never had to do it.
I don't know how he is when he's with his siblings or with his father or whatever, but when I'm with him, he doesn't know what to do because he just wants to go back and play video games. And it is literally all he cries about the entire time we're out.
That's not healthy.
It's not. No, you're right. I bought him a t-shirt for his birthday one year that said, it just says on the front of it, I paused my game for this. Oh. So anytime he goes anywhere, he's going to wear that shirt.
Nice. Well, that was our PSA on imagination.
That's right.
So, metal accordion door. She knows that if she moves it, it's going to be very noisy.
Right.
And she said it was in the way of the front door. So I'm assuming it was open. The door was open so that it was blocking the door.
Oh, okay.
So in order to get out the front door, she needs to close this closet door.
Okay, got you.
From what she said. So she said she had to close the closet door to open the front door.
Okay.
But she knows that the closet door is going to make all kinds of noise.
So you gotta do it fast.
So you gotta do it fast.
Like one fell swoop.
There was also stuff on the floor in the foyer area. So that was blocking her way as well. And she wanted to make sure that she had a clear shot. So first, she carefully moves everything that's in the way. She said there was the bin that she was kept in was put in front of the door. So she moved that out of the way. And there was like a vacuum cleaner and stuff. So she slid that carefully out of the way, just making sure she has, you know, a perfectly clear path.
Right.
She then unlocked the door. She knew the noise from the metal door would wake him. So she'd have to close the accordion door and open the front door at the exact same time.
Yikes.
In order to get out.
But her hands are handcuffed.
I know at some point she was able to squeeze one hand out.
Oh.
I don't know. I couldn't figure out in my research at what point, but I know she was able to pull one hand out at some point. Yes.
I wonder if she had to dislocate her hand or something.
So the handcuffs, this is disgusting. They were fuzzy handcuffs from a sex store.
Oh my god.
They were like dark blue fuzzy handcuffs.
What?
So because of that, there's like that bulk from the fuzzy stuff around it. So then one had enough slack in it that she was able to slide her hand out.
Those are not very good handcuffs.
No, I did see a crime scene picture of those. They looked disgusting.
Ew.
Yes.
That's nasty.
Yes. So I'm unsure of it at this point. I feel like at this point is when she probably pulled her hand out of the handcuff. I couldn't find her saying when, but I know that it does happen somewhere in here.
Gotcha.
So for our imagination, we will say
yes,
that she has pulled one out. So handcuffs dangling from one hand.
Okay, which we can do because we're adults and we learned that when we were children.
Yes. All those hours of playing pretend really paid off.
Yeah.
So once she had the door unlocked, both of the doors in her hands, she just went for it and took off running as fast as she could in her bare feet with the handcuffs still on her hand.
Is she nude at this point?
No, she grabbed her clothes.
She did grab her clothes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But it would have been the PJs she was in.
Right.
So it was just like shorts and like a baggy t-shirt.
Whatever, it's better than nude.
Yeah. His bedroom window looked out onto the front door area, so she was terrified that the noise woke him up and that he would grab the gun and shoot her through the window.
Fair. I'd fear that as well.
Yeah, man, she's so smart. See, I wouldn't be thinking about anything.
Oh,
she's thinking about like 100 different things at once.
Yeah.
And I can't think of two things at the same time.
No, me
I'm
either.
not good at multitasking. As she's running for her life, she's scanning the parking lot looking for anyone that could help her. She sees a car with two men in it, one middle-aged and one a young adult. She ran out in front of it, waving her arms for them to stop. When they did stop, she ran over to the driver and told them she'd been kidnapped. And then she turned and pointed to the apartment she just ran from and said, "That apartment right there. The guy in there is the one that did it. I need you to remember that it's this apartment." She said the guys just seemed like they were in total shock.
Right?
With
like
everything she was saying. Yeah. I feel like...
Could you imagine being a person in a car and having somebody run up to you and saying they were just kidnapped and got away? Like,
every time I hear true crime stories where the person like got away and like runs to a front door or a car, and then it breaks my heart when I hear sometimes, especially if it's like a nude person or something, sometimes people like don't stop. Like they drive faster.
Yeah.
And I'm like, on the one hand, like I get it if someone is like running at your car looking crazy. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh, because I feel like if I was alone.
Yeah.
If it was a girl,
I would never stop.
But even
alone.
no, I don't even know if I would. Like I
don't think I would. I would immediately call. Like
that's the thing. I wouldn't stop, but I would call.
100%.
Yes.
I think that's what's recommended as well. I feel like, well, again, it depends on where you live and how quickly responding your police or whoever would be.
True.
But I personally wouldn't feel safe stopping in that kind of scenario. So I personally would call the police immediately. Like I'd even just yell out my window and say, "I'm calling the police right now. You know, keep running or hold tight or whatever." I don't know. Like it depends on the scenario, I guess. But
because I also don't want to get killed if a killer is chasing somebody.
Exactly. Yeah, there's too many questions in that. I don't know if I would stop.
She asked the men to take her to the police, so they did right away. They took her to the Richland County Sheriff's substation. Kara finally started to feel safe again. But above being safe, she wanted to bring the man that put her through such a horrifying experience to justice. She had worked so hard to memorize all those details about the experience to make sure when she got to the police, she could help them identify him. But when she told authorities what had happened to her, the reaction was not one she'd hoped for.
What?
She felt like they didn't take her seriously.
No.
They acted like she was lying and making the whole thing up.
Are you serious?
She said that's what it felt like.
Oh my god.
They weren't taking her seriously at all.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So she's in her PJs, no shoes, handcuffed dangling from her wrist.
Right.
And the deputy she spoke to just acted like she made it up.
Wow.
Yes, I can't.
I don't even have words for
No. Why? Like, I don't understand. Why would she make that up? Like, why would anyone make something like that up?
No.
Even if you're like, wow, this has never happened in this county before.
Right.
Why? What would be the benefit of this girl coming and saying these horrific things happened to her?
Right. And why would you act so nonchalant about it? Like, why don't you take her story seriously, and then if it turns out to be false in any way, shape, or form, then start acting nonchalantly? But like, if anybody comes to you with that kind of story, you 100%, as a police officer, should take them seriously.
As a human, you should take them
being.
seriously.
Exactly. Like, 2 guys who drove her to the police station took her seriously. So, like, why can't you, as a officer of the law? Like, that blows my mind.
She was so frustrated because she felt like she set out to do what she told herself she would. She survived. She escaped. But she didn't feel like they were taking any of that serious. The deputy eventually called Kara's mom to let her know they had found her missing daughter. When Kara heard her mom over the phone, that was one of the most emotional parts for her. Before the deputies took Kara to the hospital, they took her back to where her 18 hours of hell had taken place so that she could show them the apartment.
Why didn't she get the guys who dropped her off at the police station to show them?
They went too, but they wanted Kara to go. I feel like she should have been taken to the hospital first.
I agree.
I don't know if maybe she protested and was like, no, I'm fine, but
maybe.
Part of me thinks maybe they wanted to take her there first to like prove it, which bothers me. For them to be like, okay, if this happened, show us where it happened then.
Right. Ugh.
I don't know. I made that scenario up in my head.
But I can see it. I can totally see it.
Yeah.
And not caring about her welfare over top of...
No.
I don't know. I could go either way on that one.
They sounded crappy, so I'm going with
That's right.
the not good scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the shock of everything and her daring escape, she couldn't remember which apartment it was. Part of her knew she wouldn't, which is why when she flagged those men down, she pointed it out so they could remember. That's why she said to them, like, remember this apartment.
That's right.
But they were also in a panic shock when finding her, so they didn't remember which one it was either.
No.
And I don't know what, like, obviously this apartment must have all the apartment front doors. Like, it must not be a building because she ran out the front door.
Right.
And it was, I'm assuming, like, kind of like a row of, like, maybe townhouse-like apartments is what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Because they all looked the same in a row, so she couldn't figure out which one exactly it was.
Yeah.
Kara felt like she crammed so much information in her brain over those 18 hours that she just couldn't figure out what apartment it was. I feel like I don't blame her, because she was literally running for her life when she left the outside, and she didn't see it when she went in because she was in the bin. So her literal only moment of seeing which one it was running, getting to the car, pointing and being like, it's that one.
Exactly.
And then speeding away.
Right. And fearing that he was going to shoot her from the window.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be looking at it too long either. I'd be like, get me out of here.
But she did remember something she saw in the apartment. A woman's hairbrush with long red hair in it.
Ooh.
They found the property manager outside the building, riding around in a golf cart.
Nice little touch to the story there, Nikki.
Yeah. I'm imagination, man. I'm trying to make you visualize.
I am there.
Get in my headspace.
I am definitely there.
So the investigator stopped him and gave him the information Kara had gathered from inside the apartment and asked if any of the tenants fit that description. The property manager knew right away whose apartment she was describing and led them right to the front door.
Yay!
The apartment belonged to Richard Ivanitz and his wife. By this time, he was long gone from the apartment. The deputies got a search warrant and went through every inch of the apartment. As the officers began gathering evidence and clues into the life of Ivanitz, they found something that signaled a dark past before Kara. In a metal footlocker, they found a newspaper from Spotsylvania, Virginia, and the headline was that 2 sisters' bodies had been located in a river there. With this new information, authorities called the FBI, and a manhunt began to find Ivonitz.
Oh, finally, they believe her.
Right?
Wow. Well, I'm kind of glad they took her there immediately so that they could find all this out. But way to go.
Yeah. Investigators first tracked down his family. His wife and mother were on a vacation to Disney World and, according to them, were completely unaware of what had been going on in his home. Shocked by the allegations they were hearing, Ivonitz's family agreed to cooperate with authorities. His sister told detectives she knew where he was. He had reached out to her and let her know he was at a motel about 40 minutes away. Investigators then dispatched a team to locate him. By the time they arrived at his room, he was already gone. They worried that he had been tipped off by his family. I don't know why they would tell authorities where he is, though, to then tell him, unless they had guilt about ratting him out, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
They were then able to get a hit on his cell phone in the Jacksonville, Florida area, so they could tell he was heading south. Officers soon spotted him, and a high-speed chase ensued.
Nice.
They eventually stopped him in Sarasota, Florida. He pulled a gun and ignored the police commands, so they sent a canine unit over to his car. As they approached, and the dog lunged at Ivonitz, he put the gun in his mouth, and he pulled the trigger.
Oh.
Coward's way
Easy
out.
way out. Yeah, exactly. Ugh. Disgusting.
Yeah. When Kara found out what had happened, she was angry. She felt like he got the easy way out, so she was disappointed that he wouldn't be brought to justice.
Yeah.
Kara goes on to say, quote, "I remember just hoping that they would catch up with him because I wanted to have my day in court across from him. I wanted him to look at me across a courtroom and know that choosing me, that was his biggest mistake."
Nice.
End quote.
Oh, mic drop. I love this chick.
She literally gives me goosebumps.
That's amazing.
I love her.
Yes.
So even though it was case closed on Kara's case, authorities now began investigating the murder of the two sisters referenced in the newspaper Ivonitz had kept all these years. This was the unsolved case of Katie and Kristen Lisk, two sisters aged 12 and 15 from Spotsylvania County, Virginia. On May 1st, 1997, the girls got off their separate school buses around their usual time of 3 p.m. It was apparent that both girls had made it inside the house and the alarm system was turned off. Normally, the girls call their dad Ron at work when they get home to let him know they arrived safe. But on this day, they didn't call. He instantly got worried and called the house, but no answer. Ron decided to leave work early and drive the 20 minutes home to check on the girls. When he arrived home, he found Kristen's book bag on the front lawn. Other than that, there was no sign of his girls. He called around to friends and neighbors looking for the girls, and when no one had heard from them, he called the police. Search parties were sent out. By the weekend, more than 1,500 people were out looking. The community rallied, hoping to find the missing girls still alive. But unfortunately, 5 days after their disappearance... No. What did I just say?
Disappearance.
What word just came out of my mouth?
I heard disappearance is what I heard.
I did too. And that's not even a word.
Nope, it's not.
Lord! It's a dramatic sentence too. I really pooped the bed on that one. But unfortunately, 5 days after their disappearance, both girls' bodies were found under a bridge 40 miles away from their home.
No.
The bodies were found by state road workers along the South Anna River. Television stations reported that the two were partially undressed and partly submerged in the water. This tragic case had been unsolved with no real leads until now. They were able to match fibers collected from the girls' bodies to Ivonitz's apartment.
No way.
He still had the same bath mat that he owned back in 97 when he lived there.
No. Ew.
That's... I said ew to that too when I wrote it, and then it's only 5 years.
But
I take him as a person that doesn't clean, so in my head, it's real grody.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's fair, but still.
It's gross.
Yeah, it is gross.
They were also able to lift Kristen's handprint from inside of his trunk.
What?
Yes, after 5 years.
Oh my god.
How amazing is that?
So... he obviously didn't get a Rubbermaid container for them.
I would guess they were in Z-Trunk.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing that print was still there. Holy smokes.
Yeah. 5 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
To not... Well, I guess I don't wash the inside of my trunk.
No.
Guess I never really thought about that.
But that's still impressive. I didn't think that something could stay on there for that long.
But if you're going to hold a body in there, then maybe you do want to wash the inside of your trunk.
But I bet if you didn't murder them in the trunk, then there was no
enough.
blood. They would need to clean. And in 97, I don't know if DNA was a thing. Well, DNA analysis.
Right. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. But either way, I think that's pretty freaking amazing.
I agree. Yeah, that's awesome.
They were able to link fibers from a rug, a blanket found in his apartment, and from inside his car to the bodies.
Wow.
Being able to link these fibers to Ivanitz also meant they were able to solve another cold case.
What?
Yeah. We got a serial killer.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, then Kara was lucky to get away.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is... Okay, that would be even scarier after finding that out.
Oh, yeah. And he was telling Kara, he's like, oh, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go. It's just a couple days.
He was not going to let her go.
The sheriffs that did some interviews, they were like, we don't have a doubt in our mind that if Kara didn't make her daring escape, she would have been murdered. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that realization. Because she was letting what he was saying get to her.
Yes, she was.
So all that mental abuse that he was giving her, but also giving her the promise of a release someday, that would have been her only hope.
Yes, and I'm glad that she didn't believe that and be like, oh, he's going to let me go.
Yes.
No, Kara is a badass babe.
She ever. Yes.
I have a little girl
Kara.
crush on Kara.
Yeah. Well, okay. But like, how old is she now?
In 2002, she was 15.
Okay, so she was, yeah.
Yes. She's an adult, Megan.
Okay, I'm just making sure, okay?
I have a crush on adult Kara.
Adult
We're
Kara.
going to learn about
That's
adult
right.
Kara.
Oh, good.
She's amazing.
Yay, awesome.
I feel like she'd be friends with us.
Excellent.
Maybe.
Okay.
We're kind of weird.
We are a little weird, yeah.
Just over 7 months before the Lisk sisters went missing, another young girl went missing in Spotsylvania, Virginia. 16-year-old Sophia Silva was last seen on the afternoon of September 9th, 1996. She had taken a soda and her homework out to her front porch. Sophia was quietly taken from there with no evidence of a struggle. Her older sister was even inside the home at the time of the abduction and didn't hear anything.
What?
Yep, in broad daylight.
Oh, he probably put a gun to her neck as well.
I feel like...
To keep her quiet.
Yeah. Because that's... If someone has a gun to your neck and says, if you make a noise, I will shoot you.
Especially when you're that young. You don't know any better.
No.
Oh, what a pig. Sorry. I feel very, very
I feel like... I thought you were...
Man.
With the aggression in your voice, I thought the word that was going to come out was going to be a lot meaner.
That felt like the right word at the moment.
That's do what feels good, Megan.
That's right.
Let it out.
Letting it out, yes.
Police had said it was like Sophia vanished into thin air because nobody saw anything and no evidence was found. 5 weeks later, her body was found in a marsh 20 miles away from her home. Fibers that had been found on her body were linked to the fibers found on the Lisk sisters, which meant that Ivanitz was responsible for the kidnapping and murder of all 3 girls.
Wow.
In his metal footlocker that they had found in the apartment, they also found detailed notes that he wrote to himself while carefully planning the abductions, as well as the pressed white button-down shirt he wore during the attacks. His wife told deputies she had always wondered what was inside that footlocker, but her husband forbid her from ever opening it. Without Kara, authorities would have likely never been able to make this connection. Investigators also suspected him of other similar crimes once they looked into his past, and they were able to line up places he lived with abduction and murders of young girls, but there was no evidence, and the cases were so cold now, and he'd killed himself, so they were never able to prove he committed more, but there was one in particular that really lined up, and then there were some more that they thought maybe, but there's just nothing else they can do. No, they scanned his apartment, and they got lucky and were able to match those fibers for those, but not for the other ones.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
It was sad. I read reports that when he had called his sister when he was like running from the police, like at the motel and stuff, he did confess some crimes to his sister, but she wouldn't say what they were.
What?
Yeah. I couldn't find reports of her saying what they were.
Well, she wouldn't want to because she might incriminate herself.
So I don't know what else he confessed to, but it sounded like he confessed to more things.
I don't know. I love my siblings, but I don't think I would ever hold a secret that was as dire as anything illegal like that.
Oh no,
Murder, rape,
the guilt would eat me up, and I would
pedophilia, any of that shit. You're going to jail. I'm sorry, I don't care. I love you guys, but no.
Breaking rules stresses me out.
Yeah, same.
So I started doing research then on Richard Evonitz because we usually, when we talk about killers and serial killers, we give you their background and information about them so we can know about their crazy life and how they got the way they were. But my theme this week was I'm a survivor. So I'm going to focus on Kara and how amazing she is and how she survived. And we're not going to waste any more time on Evonitz, who is a waste of a life.
Waste of breath.
Absolutely. So Kara had been through literal hell and was healing from that, which was very hard. Although one person did play an important role in her ability to cope, and that was Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott.
What?
That's not
be the person she reported to?
She reported to a deputy.
Okay.
So this was the sheriff.
Good.
Yes.
I'm glad that she didn't lose
We like
faith.
Sheriff Lott. He seems like a good old bloke.
I'm glad she didn't lose faith in the police because of that deputy's actions.
No. Sheriff Lott saved it for her. So
good.
he was one good one in a whole department of shitty ones.
Okay.
Shortly after the kidnapping, Sheriff Lott met with Kara and her family. Kara said he immediately took her under his wing and treated her like she was his family. About Kara, Sheriff Lott is quoted saying, quote, "She was a survivor, she was a fighter, and she was a warrior, and she wasn't going to be a victim. I've got daughters myself. I kind of adopted her as one of my daughters too, and wanted to make sure that she continued to be a survivor," end quote.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, you can tell that's coming from a dad.
Yes, 100%.
I feel like he wasn't necessarily putting on his police hat when he kind of reached out to Kara and her family and took her under his wing.
No.
I feel like he was putting on his dad hat.
Dad hat, for sure. You can tell just from that quote and the feeling behind it.
Absolutely.
Definitely a dad quote.
When Kara was looking for a summer job, Sheriff Lott offered her an administrative job at the sheriff's department.
Nice.
Yeah, so she took it, and she enjoyed the job so much that she continued it while she was in college.
Wow.
In college, Kara was studying to become a teacher, but she loved working at the sheriff's department, so she decided to combine her two passions, and she became a school resource officer.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
While she was a cadet at the police academy, Kara had managed to keep her story a secret from those around her. Until one day, when the instructor started teaching her case.
What?
Yes. They were teaching all about abductions and
oh my god,
the evidence. And so she said that she was sitting there in the class, boring class, everyone's just learning. And then the teacher brings up pictures of Sophia and the Lisk sisters.
Right.
Is up on the projector.
Oh no.
Talking about these abducted women, and it was a cold case. And so she sees that, and then she obviously knows what's coming.
Where it's going. Yes.
Next. Yes.
No. How does she take that?
She took it well.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
So
she's a strong badass.
That's the thing, is she is like amazing. Like,
wow.
I can't even with her. She's too good. The world does not deserve someone this good.
Oh, I love it.
After the class, she told the instructor that Kara she taught about, that was her. The instructor apologized profusely.
Well, how would she know?
Exactly.
I mean, that's fair.
Kara then decided to tell people in the academy leadership. They then came to her to let her know they were nominating her for an award at the academy.
No! Okay, I just got goosebumps all over my body.
Better.
Oh, I love it.
So at her graduation, where she was the only girl.
Yes! Yes, girl!
She was given an award for courage and bravery and a standing ovation.
No, okay. Okay, now I'm gonna cry. Oh my god.
Yeah. I saw the picture of her graduating class, and there's so many people in it. Yeah. And then she just points to it, and she's like, this one girl sitting on the end. She's like, this me, I'm the only girl.
Oh.
I'm like, you get it, girl.
That's right. Yes.
Today, Kara is married, and her name is now Kara Robinson Chamberlain. She has 2 little boys at home. She says she made the decision the moment she was abducted, and from that point on, to never be a victim.
Nice.
She's a survivor. Kara says, quote, I think that to say you're a victim, then someone took something from you. Nothing was taken from me. I refuse to give that man the power.
Nice.
End quote.
Yes. Oh my gosh. She's a badass. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I am impressed right from the very beginning of this story. I've been impressed with this girl.
I feel like she's a born survivor.
Yes.
Like some people are just born to be that amazing.
Exactly. And what an inspiration too to other people who might be survivors, who might not be feeling as badass as she is.
And it's going to get better. It's about to get better.
Okay, you're giving me chills though.
So Kara has done a lot of interviews and she's been really open about her experience and sharing it. She also has an amazing TikTok account.
Oh, okay.
So there is where she shares tons of stuff about her story. She gives lots of advice on how to support trauma survivors.
No way.
So she does a lot of TikToks of how to help people that are trauma survivors and, you know, what worked for her and what you can do and what trauma survivors are feeling. So she gives people the inside look. She lets people know how to deal with it. Like if you're going through it yourself, here are some things you can do to help. Or if you know someone and you want to help them, here are some things you can do.
Wow.
Yeah. She's even done videos where people ask her questions and she answers them. So she did one about like, what's the best way to get out of restraints if you're kidnapped? And she had a pair of handcuffs and she talked about it. And she talked about how to get out of zip ties and stuff like that.
Gosh.
Yeah, so she gives you tips on how to not become a victim.
She would also have the police training now
Absolutely.
on top of her own personal experience. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I am blown away by
so
this girl.
And she gives you tips and tricks on if you are kidnapped. So she talks about like how to memorize stuff. Even try and keep a level head and try and, you know, be aware of your surroundings like she was. And she was able to, you know, see stuff in the apartment that helped them find him.
Right. Yeah.
So if she hadn't have done that.
That's right.
It could have taken a lot longer. He could have, you know.
He would have gotten away.
Absolutely. Maybe they wouldn't have believed Kara. Who knows?
Right.
So she gives stuff like that on her TikTok.
Amazing.
I checked it the other day and she was at 215K followers.
Wow.
And 2.7 million likes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's amazing. Good for her.
Yeah. So her handle on there is at Kara Robinson Chamberlain. All one word.
Right.
We can put that in the show notes.
Sure.
I watched a lot of her TikToks, like a lot.
Yeah.
She's delightful.
Okay.
Yeah, and she does, it's not just true crime stuff. So she's a mom, so she does mom stuff. She has a lot of mom TikToks. I saw her doing like testing out, you know, different face masks and like stuff like that. Like she just does normal kind of stuff, a lot of educational stuff, but it doesn't feel like stiff. Like she's just delightful.
Oh, I love it.
She's one of those people that is just so positive.
Yeah, that's
and like,
so awesome.
I found that even though she was talking about serious stuff, she does it in a positive way and she just really focuses on the positivity of it and she always like has a smile on and like she's so joyful when she does stuff.
I love that.
Yeah, and
I love that she can have that outlook on the world.
Yes.
Good for her.
To make it all better, I don't know if everyone else thinks this, everyone needs to go look at her TikTok or her pictures because I think that she looks exactly like Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, really?
Yes, like she could be her sister.
No way.
Yes, they could be twins.
Wow, okay.
It's insane. From the second I saw her, I was like, is that Scarlett Johansson?
Really?
Yes, she's absolutely beautiful. And her facial features I find really look like her.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to put them in like a side by side and look at them.
Now we know the real reason why Nikki has a girl crush on her.
Yeah. Yeah, I developed the girl crush when I creeped her TikTok for like 30 minutes.
Wow, that's awesome. I love this girl. Wow. How amazing.
She made me feel more, I don't know, better. Like I could survive something.
More better.
Nice. She made me feel like, I don't know, just
like
reading
you could be a badass too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I would panic in situations, but now I know if I panic in a situation, if I'm in an awful situation, I'm going to think of Kara and be like, what would Kara do?
That's right.
It used to be, what would Buffy do?
That's right.
Now it's, what would Kara do?
In this particular circumstance, it would be, what would Kara do, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like I'd be one of those memes, the ones you see where it's like, oh, if a kidnapper took me he'd last 30 minutes before he brings me back home and is like, please go away. I will pay you to leave.
That's what my mom used to say.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be me. I'm pretty loud and I'm pretty dramatic, and they would probably be like, oh my God, this was more work than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too good.
What do you think? If you got kidnapped, would you be a survivor, a panicker?
I don't know. I really don't, because I like to think that because I have all this Taekwondo training, feel like I would try to be a fighter and I would try to remember things. I have a terrible memory though, so I actually worry that I wouldn't be able to memorize or think of things on the spot.
Yeah.
This is not even remotely close to this kind of scenario, but I was almost hit by a car today on my drive home from work.
Oh.
And they sped off, and I actually wasn't sure if they hit my front quarter panel on the passenger side. So I flew up behind them because they were running, I guess is what you would say.
Hit and run!
So I was like, if they hit my car, I need to get their license plate because I need to be able to report them.
Absolutely.
So I sped up to get to the car, and I'm like, okay, this is their license plate number. And I was in my head, and I said it verbally over and over and over again, and then I started skipping words or letters and numbers, and I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna remember this. So I had to pull over, write it down, because I'm like, I'm not gonna remember this because my memory is so bad. And then I would look at other people's license plates, and then those letters and numbers would get me confused. I'm like, no, I had to pull over, and I wrote down the license plate number, and I was like, I have to do it. So that's why I worry. Like, if I was ever kidnapped,
well, we learned that you're not going to be able to remember anything.
I will remember shit.
You can remember 3 letters and 3 numbers.
Exactly. Well, and because I was so stressed out, and I feel like that was a huge contributing factor. So my heart was pounding. Like, you have no idea how close this was. Like, I literally thought they hit me, and I had to slam on my brakes. My brakes squealed.
Oh my goodness.
That's how bad it was.
And they took off?
And I didn't tell you this until
no,
right now.
I didn't know this happened.
Yeah, that they took off. Like, they were trying to pull into my lane. I slammed on my brakes, and my brakes squealed, and then they just casually leaned back into their lane and just sped off. And I was like, no fucking way. So I sped up, and I got close to them, and I'm like, all right, this is their license plate number. If they hit me, because I couldn't tell if they hit me or not. I had my music blasted.
Oh, jamming. What song?
It was 10 Feet Tall by Afrojack. It's one of my favorite songs of all time, and I had it cranked. I was jamming. And I wasn't expecting this at all. So, slam on my brakes, speed off. I had to turn the music off because my heart was pounding so fast and so
goodness.
hard. And my head was racing, and it was just like a whole thing. And it was rush hour traffic. So I was like having a moment, right? And I'm like, I have to remember this license plate number. That was literally the only thing I could think of. Because I worked in insurance for a very, very long time.
Yes.
And I was like, if I don't get this information, that goes on my on my account, and that goes on my record, that I had an at-fault loss because I can't find the person who hit and run on my vehicle. And then that would be an at-fault loss for me. My insurance premiums would go up. Like, literally, this is all going through my mind.
This is what you're thinking, and you can't remember 3 letters and 3 numbers.
I know, but I think it was because of all that stuff that was going through my mind at the time that I wouldn't be able to remember. Which is why I think that if I ever got kidnapped, I'd remember shit.
So you got to make an acronym. That's the...
Yeah, well, I couldn't out of this, and I'll tell you after what it was. But yeah, it was not one that I easily could think of. Something that I was like, what can I did think of that. I was like, what can I use as words to try to remember this? And I was like, no, it's not happening.
Oh.
It's like, I just don't want to forget it, and I didn't have time to even think about it, so I just pulled over and put it in my...
I feel like that's probably the safer one anyway, especially because you almost got an accident, so I'm sure you were like, adrenaline.
The adrenaline was very high.
So we know that Megan is fight in her,
I have
her trauma response. Well, did you hear now too, they're saying there's, instead of, because it used to always be you either have fight or flight.
Yes.
But now they're saying you have fight, flight, or freeze.
What? Oh, I never heard of the freeze.
Yes. It's like a new
I can
thing.
see that, though.
I don't know if that's a scientific thing. I'm pretty sure I heard it on a true crime podcast
Oh.
because all I do is listen to true crime podcasts.
I can see that, though.
It makes sense, though.
Totally see that.
Because I could see that. I feel like I've had that response to things before where I don't know what to do. So I literally just freeze. Like you freeze up and you don't know if you should fight or flight.
Yeah, I can actually see in my head people freezing in a moment where they don't know what to do or what to say or how to act or whatever in any kind of scenario. Not necessarily like just the horrible true crime stories.
No.
I feel like I'm kind of one of those people as well. I do have a fight in me, but for work and those kind of things, you can't really fight. Right? No. It's not that kind of scenario.
No. Fight and flight would be like more of a trauma response, an adrenaline response.
Exactly, yeah. So freeze, I guess in the work sense, would be freezing your brain. You don't really know how to react. But I guess in a trauma sort of sense, that would be the same response that you would have if you had a freeze response.
Yeah, if anyone watches Buffy, you know there was a season where Buffy went catatonic.
Okay, so I'm rewatching Buffy. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
I'm rewatching and I'm still on season 1, but I'm like almost done season 1, so I will get there.
It's so good.
I can't remember. I watched it when it was brand new on TV, so I don't remember any of it.
I have watched it all seasons, all the way through. Honestly, definitely over 20 times.
Wow.
You know how they say people like have that comfort thing where you like rewatch something? You know what I mean?
I do that with Lord of the Rings.
Yes. And Buffy was my thing, and it like I don't really rewatch it now. I feel like there's so much more media out there that I want to consume.
Yeah.
But back in the day when I didn't have a Netflix and a Disney Plus and all this different access to stuff, all I had was my Buffy DVDs. So first it was I recorded the episodes on the TV with VHS tapes because there was no DVDs. Yeah. So when you put the VHS in and you can record. So I would record it. So I had a box of VHSs of Buffy episodes. And then I would watch the VHSs over and over and over again. Absolutely. Like when they were first airing. And then when I was in university, I was able to get the DVDs.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember I got my first Buffy DVD for my 18th birthday. Hey. Yeah, it was season 1.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a gift from an ex-boyfriend, and I hate him now. So,
okay.
Unfortunate.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Right?
Okay.
But he bought me my first Buffy DVD set.
I guess that was his one saving grace.
Yeah, that was the one. So then I got all the DVDs, and then I would just literally watch them over and over and over and over again.
That's perfect.
I love
understand
it.
that.
I used to, so I can't fall asleep without something on.
Right.
Like usually I put something on TV, but sometimes it's a podcast if I'm like not at home or something.
Right.
But there were times when I would be somewhere and I couldn't put something on, like if I was staying at a friend's place or something and there was like no access to put a TV on, I physically cannot go to sleep just lying there because I have anxiety. So if I'm just lying there, I just start thinking about all the things that make me anxious and I start spiral thinking and I like put myself into like an anxiety attack just lying there.
Oh no.
So I have to have something on. It's the only way I can turn my brain off is putting something on the TV and then I can just zone out and not think and I can fall asleep pretty easily.
Right.
But there were times when I didn't have something. So I would play Buffy episodes in my head.
Really?
Yes, because I watched them so much that I had them memorized. And it was like a little Rolodex in my head. I'd be like, what episode do we want to watch tonight? And I'd be like, ooh, season 4, episode 10, sure.
What?
And I'd like play the episode in my head, like picturing it and all the dialogue.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good memory.
Just for Buffy.
Just for Buffy.
That is why. So I can't fit anything else in my memory because I have every episode of Buffy memorized and also dances since I was like 3.
Fair, yeah.
Because you gotta learn all this choreography and like then I hear the song and I'm like somehow I remember this dance from 20 years ago. So that's, yeah, my memory's full up.
Wow. Yep, no more memory things for Nikki.
No, I have like a good but bad memory. Sometimes certain things it's good, certain things
You have a pretty good memory though.
It's pretty good.
I feel like there are times where you like ask me stuff about something that happened a while ago and I'm like, oh right, I forgot that we had that conversation and like you're just checking up just because you're a good friend.
Yeah, I feel like my
So-
long-term memory is good. It's my short-term memory. It's not
That's fair,
great.
yeah. So in a kidnapping situation.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be. Please don't kidnap me.
Yeah.
You don't want to kidnap me. I'm very loud.
Loud and dramatic.
I am. It would
Yeah.
be. You would have to take care of me.
That's right.
Yeah. You'd return me for sure.
Hopefully that ever happens.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready?
I think it's time to roll.
Okay, it's my turn to roll for my story for next week.
Oh my! It's a 2.
What the shit?
We
is
cannot
this?
get past
No.
these first couple.
Okay, I feel like my dice is cursed.
You got some bad juju. That one needs to go in dice jail.
Dice jail, yeah, exactly. I don't have any other D20s, so
You only have one D20?
I have one D20. Listen, so when I first started playing D&D, it was with my cousin and a couple of his friends that I didn't know, and it was literally all of us were kind of brand new noobs at D&D. And I was like, what kind of dice do I need? So he told me exactly what I would need for playing, and that's all I bought. And ever since then, even though I've done other campaigns and stuff, I've literally never bought any other dice.
Oh.
I got the name Chessex, I think it was.
Yep,
the
Chessex.
dice that you guys have. So I've been looking at it. I just haven't purchased any, and that's something that I have to budget for, just because living alone and budgeting is hard. So
Yeah.
it's stuff I have to budget for, and it's not really top of the priority, especially when cats get sick and vet bills are high. So, things and stuff. So
When I play D&D, every time I start a new campaign, I need a new set of dice.
Really?
Absolutely, because I feel like that. So I have like a set that I use for like Star Wars, and
No,
that.
you do
but
not.
like, so when you play D&D, you need sometimes a bunch of the same kind of dice
That's
to
right.
do. So like I'll need a bunch of D4s to do like magic missile. That's fine. But I have like a D20 that is like designated, that is like my main set that I use for like each campaign. So I have like my Star Wars set and my
know
2E
that.
set. Yeah. Yeah. And they're all very magical. Like they all have like kind of glittery things in them, like
Of
shimmer
course.
in them.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the Festive and the Borealis collection from Chessex.
Okay.
Yeah. Those lines are like
Nice.
gorgeous.
Excellent.
Yeah, I feel like it's like new, like it's a new, fresh, I don't know.
I guess I've never really had that feeling about a new campaign.
See, I feel
new
like it's a
dice,
completely
and
new character, so that character needs their own set of dice.
That could be why I'm rolling shit today.
Yeah, you've been using the
always.
same dice. All of the bad juju from all of your D&D characters is all crammed into there. Also,
didn't
when I'm
know.
playing, I take my dice, the dice I'm going to be using, like the ones I use a lot, and I place them with the number that I want the most face up. So like if it's a D20, I always leave it sitting on the table with the 20 up.
It's so funny because I actually do that too with this. I usually, when I set it back up on my shelf, I usually put it on 20.
See, it's not working for you.
It's not working for me, but I
No.
think again, because I've used it for every campaign I've ever done.
Yeah, I want it to be very comfortable with the 20 top side up. I want it to live. I want it to live there with 20 up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's awesome. So anyway, my category with a 2 is hide and seek. I don't really know. I mean, I guess there could be games. I don't know. I'll have to think about this one. Hide and seek games with,
How many serial killers
Stories.
be hiding?
well, that's fair. Hiding how? Ooh, I could play with that one. Okay, cool. I have ideas. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us at The Grimdark Diaries on Instagram and Facebook, as well as Grimdark Diaries on Twitter. If you want to send us an email, we are at thegrimdarkdiaries@gmail.com. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider subscribing, liking the episode, or giving us a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you follow us. Join us next week to see what I come up with for Hide and Seek. And remember, a friend in the dark beats alone in the light.